They begin.
Imagine you are on an Alaskan cruise. You look out over the clear blue waters to see fish leaping out of the ocean. You close your eyes to hear the waves crashing against the side of the boat. But instead, you hear a different noise. Farther off in the distance, you open your eyes and scan the waters. You see something while swimming through the water.
Then another and another. You hear many different clicking and whistling sounds. What you have just witnessed is a pod of beluga whales in their natural habitat. These creatures have a variety of physical and behavioral characteristics, a cold natural habitat, and a very unique language of their own. Beluga whales are easily distinguishable by their physical and behavioral characteristics.
When belugas are born, the baby whales start off their lives looking a bit different from their parents. The whale calves are born gray or can even be born brown, and only fade to their parents' color white as they near 5 years of age. Their white color is said to help camouflage the whales with the sea ice where they dwell. According to GeorgiaAquarium.org, beluga whales are born at about 5 to 5.25 feet, which is about the average height of women in the U.S. While the calves are relatively small compared to adult whales, they weigh around 175 to 200 pounds. Beluga whales have a lifespan of about 35 to 40 years, but can live as old as 50, as stated by animals.nationalgeographic.com. You can determine a beluga whale's age by counting the layers of dent material in a slice section of tooth, like rings inside a tree trunk. Adult whales range in size from 13 to 20 feet in length, which is about half the length of a bus, and weigh an average from 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Beluga whales have a thick layer of blubber that is around 5 inches thick. Blubber accounts for as much as 40% of their body mass. It provides the beluga whales with thermal protection and stores energy. They are toothed whales with broad, paddle-like flippers and notch tails. Adult male belugas have flippers that curl upwards, and the upper jaw of a beluga whale holds 9 pairs of teeth, while the lower holds 8. The whales do not have a dorsal fin and do not typically produce a visible spout of water when breathing at the surface. The dorsal fin causes extra heat loss, and due to the beluga's natural habitat, this wouldn't work for them. Instead, they have a dorsal ridge. Stated by IUCNRedis.org, the whales have a flexible neck that enables them to turn their head in all directions because their cervical vertebrae, or the neck bones, are not fused. This appears to be an adaptation for maneuvering and catching prey in muddy or ice-covered areas. The whales are hunters and use their melon-shaped heads to assist themselves with echolocation. The whales are gregarious, meaning they tend to hunt with their pods or in groups. The melon part of their head acts as a chamber where the sound waves are focused into a beam, which is then projected out of their head. With the help of echolocation, they can determine size, shape, speed, and distance of an object, and even some of the other objects in the water. They can change the shape of their head simply by blowing air around their sinuses. And female whales have a smaller melon than males.
The whale's breeding season generally takes place in March and continues through May. The gestation, or pregnancy, can last anywhere from 14 to 16 months, compared to the human's average of 9 months. A whale may give birth to a single calf every 2 to 3 years, with twins being an anomaly. Baby belugas are born in estuaries, or places where the river meets the ocean, because it's muddy there, and the baby's darker skin tone helps keep them hidden from potential predators. Belugas mature between the ages of 4 and 9, and then they are ready to reproduce. Belugas are unique creatures called cetaceans, which are mammals that live in the oceans, and also include whales, dolphins, and porpoises. They are unique among cetaceans because they shed their outer layer of skin, or molt, each summer around July. According to an article on defenders.org titled Basic Facts About Beluga Whales, published on February of 2014, they do this by rubbing their bodies against coarse gravel in the shallow waters. Beluga whales are extremely social and exhibit a great deal of curiosity towards humans and will even swim up to boats and scuba divers. They are extremely vocal communicators and make a variety of sounds and noises, including clicks, whistles, clangs, and can mimic a number of other sounds, including human sounds. Beluga whales have excellent vision both in and out of the water. An oil is secreted to help protect their eyes from debris out of the water and to streamline their eyes as they swim, or protect their eyes so they can keep them open. The soft and flexible blubber around the whale's head gives the beluga the ability to change its facial expressions very easily. It is suggested that since the olfactory lobes of the brain are absent in these whales, they have no sense of smell whatsoever, so they depend on sight and echolocation for food. Belugas usually dive for 3 to 15 minutes before hunting for food, can travel 1.5 miles when they dive, and often dive up to a distance of 66 feet. They can dive up to a depth of 1,300 or 2,100 feet at times, though. They spend most of their time, however, swimming slowly near the surface. In the wintertime, they will use their big heads to break holes in the ice as breathing holes. People are able to observe beluga whales' physical and behavioral characteristics when they are found in their natural habitat.
Beluga whales can live in waters from all around the world. As referenced by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration on September 2, 2014, they are found to be common in the Arctic Ocean's coastal waters. They are found in Russia, Greenland, Norway, and North America. Specifically, they inhabit the Arctic Ocean and its adjoining seas, including the Sea of Okhotsk, the Bering Sea, Gulf of Alaska, Beaufort Sea, Baffin Bay, Hudson Bay, and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The belugas seek out different coastals depending on the season. They seek out shallow coastals in the summer and waters near the ice edge in the winter. Belugas live in small groups known as pods. Pods range anywhere from 2 to 25 whales, and the average pod size being 10. A pod is generally consisted of males and females and is led by a single male. Mothers with calves often form separate pods during the calving season, and several pods tend to join together to form larger groups. Groups can range from 200 to 10,000 whales, and they tend to form a herd during migrations. They migrate southward in large herds when the sea freezes over. Beluga whales have a very unique diet. According to Defenders.org access on October 21, 2014, they are carnivores that feed on many different kinds of sea life. Salmon, tom cod, rainbow, whitefish, Arctic cod, and herring are a few different types of fish eaten by beluga whales. Shrimps, mussels, octopus, crabs, and clams are also a few examples of food that they eat. They eat approximately 2.5 to 3% of their body weight per day. The amount of food they eat would be about 40 to 60 pounds in weight. Another strange thing about whales that was stated on SeaWorld's information book on beluga whales is that they don't chew their food, they swallow it whole. They hunt in groups, usually about 5 or more, as to herd their food together into tight balls, where they can isolate it and then attack it.
Whales have an awfully large population depending on their circumstances. According to A Guide to Marine Mammals of the World, written in 2002 by Randall R. Reeves, belugas that live in St. Lawrence have such high levels of chemicals from human pollution in their system that they are treated as toxic waste when they die. 6,750 whales are approximately thrown away a day. The estimated population of beluga whales all over the world is unbelievable. There is an estimated amount being hundreds of thousands. Whales have a very interesting sort of diet, and the way that they get their food is also very amusing. Whales are opportunistic eaters. This means that the whales will eat any food whenever they can. Typically, the beluga whales feed at depths of up to 1,000 feet. They can, however, dive twice this depth. Whales also have an important role in our overall health of the marine environment. Beluga whales are also culturally important to indigenous communities or native people in the Arctic. Like polar bears, the beluga depends on sea ice for its existence and can be directly impacted by climate change. Whales have to deal with quite a few threats in their natural environment. Polar bears love to eat whale meat. Belugas often die when they become trapped in the Arctic ice where they cannot escape attacks from the polar bears. It's not uncommon to see scars from unsuccessful polar bear attacks on multiple members of the beluga whale pod. Other whales, such as killer whales, also like to feed on beluga whales. Arctic people and commercial fisheries also hunt beluga belugas for their meat, oil, and skin. Belugas also tend to die in many ways. The belugas can die from a natural cause such as age. Belugas can also die from environmental disasters. An environmental cause usually tends to be when the belugas get trapped in Arctic ice. They also can die from being preyed upon by many things, such as polar bears, killer whales, and Arctic people, including indigenous people of the north and commercial fisheries. Indigenous just means people native to that certain area. The natural habitat plays a large role in a beluga's life. Therefore, when the belugas are taken out of their natural habitat and put into captivity, we must make sure to stay true to their typical way of life as we can.
Beluga whales were one of the first whale species to be put into captivity. The first beluga whales in captivity were held in Barnum's Museum in New York City in 1861. One of the whales was 23 feet in length, and the other was slightly smaller with a length of 18 feet. Flocks of people gathered on the opening day and were not disappointed. The whales were kept in a tank 58 feet in depth and 28 feet in width.
For
It
most
seemed
of-
to suit whales well.
For most of the 20th century, up until the 1960s, beluga whales were captured mostly in Canada in the St. Lawrence and Churchill estuaries. The capturing was banned in Canada in 1992, and Russia is now the largest supplier of beluga whales, and they catch them in their Amur River and their far eastern seas of Russia. Today, they remain as one of the few whale species that are still kept in captivity across North America, Europe, and Asia. Beluga whales are typically sold for $100,000 each in the United States, and as of 2006, 30 beluga whales were in Canada and 28 in the United States. 42 beluga whales have passed away while in captivity, and to prevent the whales from dying, researchers are finding ways to prevent fungi from entering their habitats and checking their health on a daily basis. In 2009, 2 captive beluga whales saved a diver. Yang Yun was competing in a freedive competition in northeast China to hopefully land a job training whales. Being one of the 7 finalists, she decided to dive as deep and as far as possible in the cold waters of the tank without any diving gear. While at the bottom, she ran out of breath and was able to surface due to leg cramps. 2 whales named Mila and Nicola came to the rescue by gripping Yang Yun's leg and pushing her to the surface. Not only are beluga whales friendly, intelligent creatures, they have a very fascinating history and a few interesting facts that you ought to know about them.
Did you know that beluga whales were first discovered around 1776? That's the same year the Declaration of Independence was signed in the United States by our founding fathers. Since then, scientists have learned a ton about this species. As stated in an article published by National Geographic in May of 2014, the earliest ancestors of belugas are thought to have existed over 30 million years ago. Between the years of 1868 to 1911, more than 20,000 beluga whales living in the Lancaster Sound and Davis Strait off the shores of Canada were killed by Scottish and American whalers for their tan skin, since it's the only cetacean skin thick enough to be used as leather. Today, they are still hunted by indigenous Alaskan, Canadian, and Russian people for their meat, blubber, oil, and skin. They kill on average 1,500 belugas every hunting season. Belugas often return to the same bodies of water year after migrating, which makes them easy targets for these hunters. Currently, the beluga whale population is well above 150,000, but according to the IUCN Red List, they are classified as near threatened. The name beluga first came from the Russian word bilo, meaning white. Also known as a beluga, sea canary, and a white whale, belugas are known to be very friendly creatures. They have been videotaped coming right up to scuba divers, even taking selfies with them. Belugas are the smallest whales on the planet, at 13 to 20 feet in adulthood, compared to a blue whale's length at 98 feet. And this is a blue whale here. That's the beluga whale. Just kind of pretend the buttons are the same size, because I couldn't fit the blue whale on there. That's how big it is.
According to eyewitness books published in 1995 by Mark Carwadine, belugas have the most complex form of communication among all other species of whales. A captive beluga whale was even reported to sound very human-like. In one case, a diver resurfaced after hearing the surface call, only to discover that NOC, the captive beluga whale, had heard them make the noise and was able to imitate it. NOC first started making these human-like sounds in 1984 and continued for 4 years until he hit maturity. His human calls were several octaves lower than normal whale sounds, making NOC sound very human-like. There are at least 11 different beluga vocals that have been recorded. Belugas have very thick blubber to help keep them warm in their environment. Their skin was actually used in the production of the first types of bulletproof vests. Due to the thick layer skin, they can swim through water temperatures as low as -32 degrees Fahrenheit. Belugas are a very unique species of whale, with other special features different from other whales.
Beluga whales live in cold waters, with interesting physical characteristics and their own special way of communication. With their oddly shaped foreheads and unmistakable white color, these beautiful creatures are one of the most easily identifiable whale species there are in the world.
So, if you find yourself on an Alaskan cruise, try looking for a beluga whale. If you become one of the few lucky people to see them in the wild, it will be an experience you won't easily forget.